It's 3, ding dong. It does. Do it again. Yeah, good. Give me 3.
3 claps.
Give me 3 claps. Yeah. Those were quick claps. Hey, somebody's in a rush on Friday. He's young. He does everything fast, if you know what I mean. All right. February 4th, Friday. We're in the wood gym once again. Dr. James Chu's in the house, and we have what I call Jiu-Jitsu Jesus. I hope that's not disrespect. That's pretty cool. Sam, Big Sam, Jiu-Jitsu man is in. We have our 2 producers, Burt Reynolds lookalike and Griff DeLong. So we are ready to go on a Friday morning. God, I'm right on time again. It's crazy. All right, so we're opening up with mental toughness. So I was looking. This was one that I was relaxed to come to. You know, it wasn't hyped up, and Griff sees me getting all agitated and listen to Meek Mill coming in, getting all, traffic. I was really flow because Sam's spirit is nice. It's a flow state. And it's like water. I don't want to be Bruce Lee over here on a Friday morning.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes, by the way. Be like water.
Yeah. He's just a smooth cat. So, So Chewy, take this, introduce, let's go back because we have to, a lot of people haven't listened to this show.
Quick intro to the man over here, Samuel Braga. Sam, how many, you're not going to brag about it, but I'll brag for you through questions. How many world championships? Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu, yeah. So counting the gi, no gi, and masters, it would be 13. 13 world championships. What is gi? What does that mean? Gi is a uniform that we wear during the practice. And daily basis now more no gi, which is like without the uniform.
Yeah, so that they kind of look like they're in spandex. They look like little superheroes.
Yeah, wrestling. That's the cool thing. You look like a superhero. Feel like a superhero after doing it.
So there's two categories. Two categories. One where you got a uniform jacket. Pajamas.
Where did the gi come from?
I think that came from Japanese judo.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's the way jiu-jitsu started was there Japanese judo guy that came to Brazil, taught the family, the Gracie family. This was a long time ago, darn near 100 years ago. Maybe not that long. It's a long time ago. And then they all, just in the traditional Japanese kimono / gi. That's how they trained. And then the Gracies just kind of took that and continued to wear it.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's essentially what happened was that some of the Carlos Grace, which is a family, I didn't know this because a friend of mine also was reading the biography. I knew parts of it. So the Grace family, essentially, they're like their father was a diplomat, right? So they came from well-known background in politics and everything in Brazil. And what happened is, so a couple of the sons, like, you know how it is. Sometimes they have so much energy as a kid that they have to channel that energy somewhere. And he's like, so being a diplomat, he met this Japanese guy and he said, hey, I want you to teach martial arts to my kids. Give them discipline, give them direction. So from there, they took that, and it just, how that everything evolved, right? So it evolved to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, what they got from like this Maeda.
Japanese judo master. Yeah, that's how it all started. Yeah. But then they started doing competitions without the gi. So the techniques are similar but different. So you don't have things to grab on when you don't have a gi. It looks more like MMA, right? Because there's no jacket now in modern MMA.
But that's essentially what the goal that once they developed the style of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they started doing challenges. They want to prove that their style were more like efficient than any other martial arts. It was more like stylistic fight between martial arts. So they want to prove theirs were more effective. So they had a lot of challenges, and sometimes they wore the gi depending who was fighting. Carlson did more like a no gi, and Hickson did more like a no gi. I think I remember Helio Grace when he had his challenge. I think he was wearing the gis. Helio was more like feisty than Carlos, but that's essentially where the MMA came from, because they want to prove, which is one of the most effective fighting style.
It was like 60, 70 years of them doing this in Brazil before they came even to America, right?
Oh yeah, they fought they fought the way up to like put jiu-jitsu in the top one rank as far as fighting style. So they put like in a newspaper challenge about like, okay, we would challenge anybody, and they put money prize because otherwise nobody gonna fight anybody, So they put like at the time it would be like $10,000 for whoever can beat them.
They put it on national TV too, right?
Yeah. They'll challenge everybody.
Yeah.
So the Gracies are kind of mentally tough.
I mean, I met some of them. They goes beyond being mentally tough. They get to like a craziness type of mental state there. They're like majority. I mean, I met Royce Grace and I met like several of Grace family. And one thing that highlight me the most about the traits would be their confidence level.
Confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure. They super confident. They're super confident. I mean, I remember like it was 13 years ago. I had like with Royce Grace, right? So I met Royce Grace. We hang out and everything. And one thing that struck me first was like, okay, this guy's super confident. He's super confident. Like, and he'll fight anybody anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime. If you make a joke, I remember that. I mean, we're Brazilian, so we would joke around and play around. And I remember this vividly that I made a joke. It was not like he didn't take it lightly. No, he just give like a smile, like that was not funny.
Just glare.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I didn't mean anything. Just trying to break the ice here. He quite understood, but but I can tell like the way he walks, the way he and everything in him is like you can sense the confidence level there.
That's awesome. And then, so I guess confidence is that a component of mental toughness. And if you want to bring it down to, back to,
I think like that's built over time though.
Okay.
I mean, because you feel like, I remember starting jiu-jitsu. I mean,
I like that. I like that built over time because when we had the two Marines in, both you guys were here for that, right? When the one said, and you work with both
yes.
the guys, when you asked the definition of mental toughness to both of them, the one said commitment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Zach.
But yeah. I think I like where he was going with confidence. And JP Arancibia, one of the baseball players we had on, a professional guy, he was always told, get more confidence at the plate. So I had to define that. You just can't get commitment or you just can't get confidence. I like how he said it's going to be more than that of getting your confidence. You just can't go be more confident at the plate. How do you get that is
get more confident at grappling.
Right.
From the,
right. How do you get that? And biblically, Griff, it talks about the more you serve others, the more you do unselfish acts, you become confident. And that's just what I pulled from the Bible. But that's what I wanted to get to is how do you get that confidence? And when he said commitment, to me, that's just a word. That's like, I'm going to be motivated today. I'm going to be disciplined today. Yeah. How do you get those?
Yeah.
So think about that or spit it off. And then when you look at Sam, I wanted to go through this is I want you to start defining the guys you're bringing in. And I think we start with Sam is why do you think he's mentally tough? And, you can think about that through the show and then come up with like what you see that you think people are mentally tough.
Yeah.
Your guys that you think are mentally tough.
Yeah. Well, where do you think that confidence comes from? So tell us how you develop that maybe in yourself or where you've seen it.
Well, the confidence comes from your performance, over time, right? I mean, you build that. And you cannot just come in. Sometimes because even if you come in really confident, like I've seen it before on the mats, okay? So you've seen guys super confident coming in and it's like, man, I'm the big shot. And there you go check is is really hard. Hits them really hard.
Are you talking about like the first day on the mat?
First day on the mat.
Because that's a real phenomenon in jiu-jitsu. Everybody goes through that. Everybody walks on the mat for the first time, and then they're like, "Oh my god, what just happened to me?"
What just happened? Okay, because it's a whole different set of skills you're gonna develop. I joke with this a lot about how you started jiu-jitsu the journey. You have to reprogram yourself. So everything you think as far as biomechanics and everything, leverage, you're gonna be huge change, because I remember that, okay, first thing when you're doing, like just an example, for example, when you're playing guard, which is both shoulders blades on the mat sometimes, or it depends which guard you're playing, but let's pretend that you're only in the most uncomfortable position, which is like both shoulder blades spin on the mat and you have to have your guard. So the most common thing for the person when he does that the first time, he put both feet on the mat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we're programmed.
Yeah.
From the sense the time you start walking
To walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your feet are designed to be on the floor.
Right.
To give you balance, to give you strength, right? So not necessarily is translated to jiu-jitsu. So your whole concept, and you have to reprogram your body to act in a totally different way. So that itself there is going to shake your whole structure.
Your reality.
Your reality.
All of a sudden, you're like, maybe you spent all 17 years of your life. You go in the jiu-jitsu mat, and you're like, what you've been doing all your life, walking on your feet, standing, put your soles over your feet on your ground, is the wrong thing to do.
In jiu-jitsu, it's going to be the wrong thing to do if you're on your back.
Yeah.
So that you're going to be like, whoa, this is so different. So it's just that itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to reprogram yourself, and then you understand, like, you're going to see guys that I've seen a guy that from my high school that he heard that I was training jiu-jitsu, and he's like, I want to train that too. I was like, if you're doing it, I can do it. He straight up told me that because he's way more athletic than I am, and he was like bigger and stronger, and his attributes. He's like, man, I'm gonna be good at this. He could be good, but when in that first contact on the mats, when you realize, okay, I'm not as strong, and everything I have perceived to think that I was is not necessarily true on the mats.
Yeah.
Because you have to restart. It's like reprogram yourself. That's why I say that, because you change a lot of your instincts. Going to change. So if you wrestle before or anything like that, your instincts gonna kick in some of the aspects of jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying everything, but being your back in the both shoulder blades pin is gonna be different than anything.
Yeah.
Is the hardest part. So you have to rebuild yourself, right? And I believe in anything that I do as well. If I go here and work out with Charlie, I mean, it's gonna be a whole different world because the level he's at, right?
Yeah.
And the level I perceive to think that I'm at, right? Yeah. It's all about perception. Because I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna work out with Charlie. In my mind, being martial arts, I say, okay, this is gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to suck it up and fight through it. I had that experience before on a workout room, right? This guy wanted to really break me because his mind's like, I want to see how far he can go. That was his idea. And literally, I was about to pass out. And I was like, I'm not going to quit because this is what the guy wants. So I'm not quitting. No matter what. And I had, at the time, I have a sinus infection, so I could barely breathe. So I was like, he's like, do you want to stop? I was like, no. Are we done? I asked him if we were done. And he's like, no, we're not done. It's okay, we'll keep it going. This is going to sound nasty. Sorry, guys, about this. But it's so much mucus, Running nose, it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. It was fun. I like it because I fought through it. But I told him, I'm not going to quit. So I got my shirt. I took off my shirt and I blew my nose on my shirt. It was mucus everywhere. This guy looked at me like, oh my God, this is nasty. I was like, I'm ready. So I knew what I got myself into. A lot of people, when they start something new, they don't start, for example, if I work out with Charlie, I know that if I start work with him, my first month, 2-3 months, whatever, it's going to be hell. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be fun because I'm going to be testing myself, right? Yeah. So how many people are willing to do that? And then over time, what I'm saying is, in the beginning of this whole journey with him, it's going to be tough. I'm not going to be as confident as I'm going to be a year later. It's like, okay, now I feel good. I know what I'm getting. I improve my techniques, right? Because it's all about technique. If I'm going to work out with him, I'm going to struggle because I don't know the techniques properly. He's going to help me out, but your body does not understand yet, right?
Okay, we're he's probably my favorite with the mental toughness because we're trying to. Do you understand what he's? When you go, I'm not going to quit. I want to know where that comes from. Now we went over repetition, practice. I think that builds confidence. So now we're talking about how do you get confidence? Well, repetition, practice. That's what I'm listening to with one of the world's best out there, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's fortunate enough, and it's awesome that we have minds like Sam to bring into this wood gym of not going. You already know but you can look at his eyes. Okay, he already has that in his eye that he's not going to. So he'd be a perfect guy in here to run through stuff, and
oh yeah,
he's going to do that guy.
Yeah.
How, where, why?
Yeah. Why? Where does that come from, Sam? This like desire to put, because a lot of people you put them through that
the uncomfortable and the hard, and they stop. And that was scripture 2 days ago. It's like, if it's not uncomfortable and hard, then why do it? And in the book of Samuel Revelation, I'm sorry to go on that, or maybe I'm not sorry, but I listen to a lot of that because I draw strength from that. Is David and Goliath? God talks about running to your problem, like run to the storm, confront the problem, and that's a guy. I mean, this is a guy that Sam's the type of guy that you kick in the door and you're like, we got to go kick some guys' booties. And he's like, what car would take it? Like he's that guy. He's not going to question anything. Where does that come from?
Yeah. Where's that come from, Sam?
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing is from the time you develop yourself as a child, right? I mean, it comes a lot from that, I think. Because my dad, I remember I did this vividly in my memory. And my dad would come home and we joke around, play around. And he's like, are you tough? I was like, I'm tough. And you come and you just, not like in a bad way, but you come and rough me up a little bit. It's like, don't quit. Be a man. And the same thing I do to my daughter a little bit about that. Sometimes I wrestle with her. It's like, don't quit. And the first thing, it was the coolest thing ever, like this experience that I want to share with you guys here, and I'll share with a lot of people. But so my daughter, first time she was on the mats, and for anybody is a scary situation because you get claustrophobic. There's a lot of factors there that kind of scare a little bit.
Super uncomfortable, unnerving. Yeah.
So she got in a position where this kid was just literally like bullying her, pushing her. And I look at her and she never been on the mats before. And I was like, don't quit. Do not quit. Go there and fight. Fight harder. And then she came back to me. She looked at me crying. I was like, don't quit. So by the time she was 5, now she gets mad. And sometimes it goes back and forth with her. Like, I don't know want to do this. I'm like, no, go back and do it. There's no other way. So I believe now is about where you come from, right? I mean, so my dad taught me that. Like, so
it can be taught. I was just about to say,
yes.
Can it be taught? So is it a thing that, some of the greats that we're still going to have on is, and I think you'll appreciate this. One of my clients, former athlete, thinks that mental toughness is also a talent and that it could be nurtured, like you could work on it. Where we take, he's got a lot of heart, or we don't look at that as a talent. We look at speed, strength, jump, and he thinks you could develop it. So
there's some people that have an inbred heart.
Yeah,
right, and you could nurture it. And I still go back to childhood. I think everybody in this room has had some type of childhood trauma that turns into that grit factor, in my opinion. I mean, we could all go through, me personally. I mean, again, nobody has a perfect life. And if they do, they're telling you lies. So you have to pull some of that. I know I pulled my childhood trauma to be where I am today, all from, man, I think I've circled back around to more of a product of your environment, because he was just talking about when my daughter was 5, don't quit, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then I had lunch with Ashlyn yesterday.
Your daughter.
My oldest. And she was like, gosh, Dad, you were such a ass in middle school and high school. And I was like, well, explain some things. So she explained some things and they were kind of hard, but I was like, well, would you take them back? And then she's like, no, so it's, there's some things that you just have to do.
Yeah.
And I think as a parent, which at those age, I really embrace it of just, because I have 2 girls and I stayed hard on them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you want them not to rely on a man. You want them not to give into that. You want to I have my girls state opinions. If you don't, if you don't agree with it, if you have a question it, speak up, all the things that we're taught not to do. So
you build her confidence over time and the inner strength in her.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that's what I've seen in like a lot of females, right? Because some experience they had, they're not brought up that, like, nurture that aspect of, okay, you're not only passive, you're a fighter. So you nurture her, not even though she did not martial arts, to be a fighter in a certain extent.
Yes.
Fight for your beliefs.
Yeah.
Fight for your opinion. You state yourself, embrace yourself. So you taught her confidence and fight in her, a fighting spirit. So not a lot of people that misunderstand, right? Being a fighter and have the fighting spirit is a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. Explain that.
So, my opinion, right? You can have a person that never done martial art, all right, or anything, but they have fighting spirit in them because they're taught them that or nurtured that in them. Like some females, they're alpha females, I'll say, because they're nurturing them to not just accept anything, even if you go against their beliefs and morals, right? Some of them will do it because they never nurtured in them, So that's come from like how you raise her. Was easy? No. Is it probably some things? And then the same thing with Ella, my daughter. Is like certain things that I say I'm hard on her, and my wife is like, "Oh, you're being too hard." It's like, no, she needs to learn and know this from our home, from our household, because I don't want her to go there and get hurt herself, right? So you prepare them. The same thing, my dad, right? So when I came home to my dad, I was not even doing jiu-jitsu or anything like that or martial arts at the time. I was 5 years old. And my dad says something to me. He's like, listen, don't come back home crying. I'm going to give you a whooping. And I was like, and that was like.
Crying from what?
From anything. If somebody hurts my feelings, somebody punch me. If somebody says something to you, say something back that you know. If they say something you do not like, say something back. If somebody punch you, punch them back. Don't come cry home. I'll give a whooping.
Yeah.
So I learned from an early age that was unacceptable. I told my daughter the same thing. I was like, so a kid there came whole school.
And by the way, I love your daughter's name.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Thank you. So she came home and one day she's like, I punch a kid. And I was like, why? She's like, he punched me in the stomach. I punched him right back. So I was like, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
There's not enough Sams out there anymore.
You know? And I told her, like, one day she's like, when you start, like, doing martial arts. And it was like, and I told her, like, how it's important for her to stand for herself and not let people push her over. And one day, kids are mean in general, right? And I say, somebody mean to you, make sure you stand your ground. You're not going to be mean to them, but you're not going to let them hurt your feelings. You're not going to let them hurt you physically. You don't allow them that. And every time you defend yourself, you get ice cream.
Not a whooping, but ice cream.
Ice cream. Because she has to know that it's not okay for somebody go and punch her or kick her. Because it happens all the time. And she doesn't even have to tell me anymore because her level of confidence at this point in time, and I can tell the way she walks to my car. You can tell the confidence of a kid walking towards you, how they, a lot of people don't pay attention to this, but I pay a lot of attention. When a kid walking to my door, I know what the kid's been through. I know.
Does that resonate with you, Charlie?
Yeah, that's why I was saying Sam's flow is nice because it has to, he's tuned in to his inner self. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
More than just I don't want to say the older generation, but they
Yeah.
come in puffy, and ate Tonka toys for breakfast and walked backwards to school and had one limb. That Sam's real, his spirit's there. It's refreshing to hear this. I know you guys are the same. Of you hit him, you hit back. I mean, we're in a culture where that's not accepted anymore, and that's why it's becoming weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah,
they're suppressing.
Yeah, so he's a breath of fresh air because it's he's a dying breed, even as a parent of I'm sure people would look at him and go, he's too hard on his daughter of whatever that is, but it's not. He's teaching like those are.
I'd say it's almost a life skill. What he's
when you have girls, it's different than having boys. So when you have girls, I would drive around with Ashlyn and Grayson and go, see that car, see how shady that car is. You got to look out for that car.
Yeah,
So I teach them different. When you're at a gas pump before you pull up, look at the cars in the parking lot.
Yeah,
figure it all out. Watch it. If it doesn't feel right, pull away and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Those. It's all lost. There's nothing like that anymore in life of life skills. It's all about the Benjamins and how awesome I look and how educated I am instead of like how do you live through life?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That we talked. That's a part of mental toughness. And when the chips are down and you're getting your butt kicked, what do you do? Because life's going to hit you, and people that don't. He's 100% right. People walk in and the kid has their arms crossed, sign of insecurity, no confidence. It's the parents stay a little bit longer. Okay, they've doted over their kids some more. So hey, you're gonna have to get out for this kid to grow. Yeah, there's no parents allowed, and because it's not gonna go well. So you can read that.
Yeah, Sam, you were 16 years old when you started jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
So I guess the question is, okay, you got this dad that's coaching you through this and teaching you to be assertive and, fully stand your ground. So you came in to jiu-jitsu with that parental kick, the push, right? So I guess because, you come into jiu-jitsu, you're a small guy.
Yeah.
Really small. I mean, for your age.
Yes.
And then you're going up against people who are more skilled than you, a lot bigger than you. You got a insurmountable obstacle there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like, so you came into it. I wouldn't say jiu-jitsu made you tough. You already came in with that toughness because of the influences of your dad?
It's a household. That's
Yes.
that's my notes right here. What I'm getting from him. It starts from his household. It starts from there. Whatever that household looks like is basically what you're going to be. And of course, that's biblical again. It starts in Ephesians of it all goes with your parents. He's saying his father was this way.
Yeah.
And then he's giving his daughter these life rules, and he is Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is Sam.
Yeah.
He's not anything else, right? He's Sam. So he's taking that and applying it to his daughter. So when he says or looks at her on the mat, I'm just trying to put this all together. Yeah. And she eyeballs him, which Ashlyn and Grayson have both done to me in their sports. And he's like, don't quit. She doesn't go, I don't know what that means. I know exactly what that means because Daddy has taught me that under my household. Yeah. And it came from Sam, not from teachers teaching what they want and other people. Like, I could see Sam being, I got it. I don't need all these people to raise my girl. I got this. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the most important things that my dad told me, like when I was growing up, because we're Christians. I'm Christian. And he said to me, it's like, I'm hard on you. I correct you every time you make a mistake. Otherwise, life will do that. And you don't want life to correct you. Mm. And of course, like, I got to a point, like, I was not only that, my professor, Draculino, taught me a lot too. And it was I'll say that it was really hard with Draculino and Eric as well. And when I got to jiu-jitsu,
those are your two coaches, Eric and Draculino.
Yeah. So Eric was first which is like my first instructor, because I lived like 2 miles from him, his gym, right? And he also several times world champion as well. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, he's same lineage. He's Draculino student.
Oh, okay.
So Eric is Draculino student.
Oh,
So that's like why I went to Draculino. So we all the same lineage.
I gotcha.
So we all the same lineage.
yeah.
Um,
Draculino, by the way, is one of the best coaches of jiu-jitsu, maybe of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I needed that. I didn't know.
Yeah. He's.
Okay.
I mean, he has so many world
yeah,
champions.
he
underneath him.
made. Yeah, so Draculino is something really interesting. He taught me a lot and he helped me a lot. And he always said the same thing, right? And of course, he would be even more harsh. And Eric, the same thing, the same way. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say it this way. He's like, don't be a fucking pussy.
No, you said it on the first show. It's good. I mean, be
Yeah.
authentic. I like it.
He's like,
But he's getting out of everybody so far. I think you're understanding what his definition is.
Yeah.
And if you don't, nobody's been paying attention, right?
yeah. So when I start there, and it was hard because I mean at the time, jiu-jitsu was different. You know, jiu-jitsu now is like we want more people on the mats. You want people to understand the philosophy, help people out, and help people out. You know, and just improve their life, enhance their life in several ways. Jiu-jitsu back in the day was a fight. Was to fight. I mean, what do you want to do jiu-jitsu for? To fight. If I need to fight, I need to defend myself. That's why I got it in jiu-jitsu. I have to find something that my small stature is not gonna. I don't need to be big or stronger to be able to defend myself to anybody. So I was like, I mean, I need to do jiu-jitsu so I can protect myself, defend myself. And then I saw competitions, and I was like, I want to be a world champion. And before the day one, I saw the competitions, like I want to be a world champion. But anyway, so when I got there, they literally kicked my ass for like an hour. I'm not joking. And the guy looked at me and he's like, so, are you a pit bull or a pussy? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you motherfucker. So I got back home and I was like beat up, and I could barely move my arms. I have to basically take a cold shower, put ice on my arms, and my mom looked at me and said, what are you doing? It's like, man, I'm beat up. She's like, you're not going back there. I was like, Mom, I am going back because I'm not fucking pussy. Mm-hmm. So I'm coming back. So one of the main reasons that I was like, and then my mom was like, are you sure you're going to do it? My dad always say, I mean, you just keep going, right? My dad was the opposite. Mom is like, I'll try to protect you, you know? Mm-hmm. But my dad taught me for so long, right? And that's like, you don't just quit a fight, right? And that for me, and one thing that you just taught me, right? The main things, of course, you embrace hard times. You know what I'm saying? Hard times, I embrace them. People can give me a hard time, can do anything. You know what makes me do? Get me fired up.
So you would say that an added thing that the sport helped you with is just understanding that this hardship is something that good that you wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that thinks like hard time, if people have a hard time, majority of the time they have tendency of quitting, right? But the most important thing, like the hardest thing, is going to bring the most value to you, in my opinion, because you're gonna have so much more value to you. Because anything that comes easy goes easy because there's no value to it, right?
Well, yeah, you're right, because that's why I dig this cat, because he has so much character from hard times. If you ever meet anybody, I've said this to a client at lunch, and I think I pissed him off, but you know, he bragged about like, oh, not everybody has to have a hard childhood and a hard this and a hard this to be something. And I was like, so you think you had an easy childhood, easy life? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and that's why you're not interesting at lunch. I never went to lunch with him again because he wasn't interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you show me a hard guy, I'll show you a guy with a lot of character that you want to grab a meal with, and time flies by. It's 2 hours. You show me somebody that has had everything given to him their whole life, and it's easy, and there's no depth, and there's no character to him. With Sam, and help me with this, because this whole circle is this group in here has been here for the whole 8, 9 of them. And I always like Ben's opinion on this. And then, of course, Griff's like a son to me. But Ben's opinion on this is, what makes Sam come home or go to the coach and say, I want to be world champion, where other kids or other things go, I'm fine playing JV. I'm fine playing varsity. What makes... I think we got to dig into the Sams and the Harrison Smiths and the people of the world that go, I want to be. What makes what thought process goes through with that? I understand it's always going to be hard to be the best in something. And some people go settle or contentment. Again, we talked about that. That's all through the Bible. And people think settling is not what you're supposed to do, but being content is different than settling. Well, Sam's content of who he is.
I will say, I think that's a great point, because contentment, I have not known Sam for all of his career, probably the tail end of his career, tail end of his competition years, where he was winning masters. I wasn't there for the heat of your adult championships, which was that's the big show. But I could see this transition of towards the end of his competition years, and he's transitioned to, a different life. That was kind of like, it's not like he didn't have to prove anything. It was just this, I've seen what I want to see. I've done what I want to do. I've done it. You know what I mean? And you've seen that in other athletes, Charlie, where maybe someone came up maybe short, or maybe someone has not, versus the ones that have done all that they set out to do. Right? Is that true?
Self-actualized.
So I think what down to me was I wanted to compete more, right? So I had to be at this point, right? So I was an athlete, and I competed in a lot of the highest level competition. And then there's a point that, because when being an athlete, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to be selfish, right? You have to be selfish. If you're not constantly thinking about how am I going to be better?
You're not wrong.
How am I going to be better? It's not about, oh man, listen, I will go to the gym and the guy say, hey man, can you help me here? I was like, no, I can't.
Oh, when you were in the heat of competition.
You hear the competition, or even if I
But what makes somebody think or say, I want to be better? There's a lot of people. First of all, there's a lot of people with self-inflated that think they're already better and they don't work. And there's people that, in my business, again, the correlation could roll with Sam. If it says 4 sets of 10 exercises, you got 4 rounds, 4 circuits, 4 rounds of 10 exercises, and you watch a client go through 2 rounds and says, I'm done, I'll see you tomorrow. They just settled and they didn't want to be better. So what makes somebody not, he wants to be better. He wants to be world champion.
Yeah.
Does that come, I think it comes for Sam under his roof, under his father. Now, with that being said, remember, this whole thing is about mental toughness.
Yeah.
I think there's levels.
Oh, definitely is.
And I think it starts from if your childhood is tough and you're mentally tough, those levels are easier to get to.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good insight.
Okay. Now let's go with one of your students, Cam Miller. Okay. Until Cam came in here, I wouldn't think he's mentally tough.
Until he came into the wood gym?
Until he came in the wood gym, and we started hitting him a little bit longer. Now he's at that level. We take him over to Sam. I've seen a different person in Cam.
Mm.
Oh, yeah,
okay. So what he's doing to him, it's like, I got him this level.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Now we could go to this level.
Yeah.
But is he ever going to be the levels of a Sam?
All right.
From the childhood? Because then we go to...
That's good.
I think there's levels.
There is levels. I mean, what it comes down to it.
And if you start off, excuse me, Sam, real quick, if you start off behind the eight ball, like let's say Cam Miller, he's like a son to me too. I love Cam. If he started doing jiu-jitsu at 22, he's 23 now, right? So he could get him, but I don't care what anybody says. I've said it over and over again, and I'll say it again, from all the psych I took in college to understanding the brain. 0 to 3, your mom knows, 0 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 11, 11 to 13, you're pretty much who you're going to be. And you could change some. He could do whatever he wants with Cam Miller.
But he's still going to be Cam in the end.
I'll kill Cam. And I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. Because I'm willing to die to beat you. That's a whole different mentality, but that's from childhood. And you can't create that. You, like Joe said, you can't manifest hard times.
No, you can't, because like what I grew up to, you know.
I'd be afraid of him. More than I'd be afraid. I honestly, I would rather. Yes, I would be afraid of Sam because of how his mental state was growing up, not of his jiu-jitsu. That's already a given that he could tie me in a pretzel.
Yeah.
But the way his thought process is.
Yeah.
And he'd be a great guy in here because he already said, whatever you want to do to me, I'm going to pass out before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
I think the levels are a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you constantly test it, right? I mean, not only, what I say about this is like, when you're a kid, you were tested, right? And how your dad approached you during those tests.
But are you tested? Are some kids tested, or are they cocooned? Mud puddle parents.
Like, yeah, that comes down to it.
You see a lot of that.
Because what happened is, I'm going to be honest, the truth is like, you can see this today. Today, it just blew my mind. So this is a great example we're heading towards to, okay? So today, this guy came to me and I asked him, how many wrestling kids you have in your class? Mm-hmm. He said 4. In high school. It just blew my mind.
Are you talking? The coach.
The coach.
Yeah.
So you have 4.
What blew your mind?
How you gonna have like, I don't know how many kids you have hundreds of kids in a school. Only 4 high school. Yeah. You have only 4. They're tough enough to withstand the wrestling.
Yes.
But now listen.
We're not meant to be beasts anymore.
That's what I'm saying to. What I'm talking to. Because I remember. This is gonna be like. This is one thing my dad told me. Like when I was little kid, somebody touch you anywhere that's inappropriate, punch them right in the face.
Yeah. What parents are saying that now?
I tell Ella.
Was your father a fighter? Was he a jiu-jitsu?
My dad did. My dad had a tough childhood, and beyond that, his uncle taught him judo a little bit. So from the time I was 5, 6, and he was like,
when did you get into jiu-jitsu?
16, 17, yeah.
Did you wrestle at
no,
5, 6, 7?
Just fought in the streets, street fight.
So you didn't get into jiu-jitsu. Is that a
kind of
old age to get into?
If you want to do anything in a professional level, you kind of start a little bit late, right? By the time you're 13, 14, I think, because 13, 14, you're mature enough to understand what you want, right? And one thing first also, there's a balance there, right? Because you have to understand what type of child you're dealing with, What I mean by that. Some kids can be pushed. Some kids, you have to coach them. You know all about this. It's like a lot of psychologically coaching as well. It's because you're not only verbally coaching them, but you have to like understand how they work mentally. Mm-hmm. Because some kids cannot be pushed too hard. Some kids, you tell them, coach them, it's like, here's what you have to do. Then give them a push and step back. You know what I'm saying? So mm-hmm. it's like really complex to coach. You know this because otherwise you're a great coach because you understand not only how the body works, how the mind works. Is a combination of two. And nowadays it's even harder because can you actually push them? before I start losing them or losing other clients because you've been too tough on them. So it's like, well, like for us, you know, I'm sure for the wrestling coaches as well. I mean, you cannot like. I remember my when Joe Colino get there, and he yelled at me, "Stop being a fucking pussy." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm not being a fucking. I'm not gonna be a pussy." You know?
Don't be that.
You know? So that's what I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not gonna be a fucking pussy." You know?
Happy Friday morning.
You know, like.
I want to beat somebody up.
Yeah, that's what you do. You know, so the guy is trying to break me, right? He put me, it's supposed to be 5 minutes round. He gave me 10, 15 minutes round if I'm going to quit.
Draculino?
Yeah. He looked at me. He's like, sorry, I forgot about time. Did I quit? No. I'm not fucking quit.
He knew, but you think he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, he knew. Because Draculino never told me like this. One thing, the funniest thing, like, because now, and I totally understand him. I don't do this anymore, right? I'll be chasing my students. Where are you? Come here, come here. And I sat down with Draculino because we're now both coaches. And I talked to him and he's like, Draculino, you know what's funny? You never call me one time or send me a message or anything. And he's like, if you really didn't want to be a champion, you're never going to be a champion. His words are right there.
Yeah, he would be a great person to interview. Draculino.
Yeah,
I don't know him from any.
Yeah, it would be great
know him, but
because he's straightforward, like even more than I am.
I'm scared of him.
Yeah, and that's what I would tell. Like I tell people all the time, and I know phenomenal people, right? You know, one of my students, I'm gonna tell him is Baby Joe, right? He's a phenomenal kid, super talented, and he's an athlete, right? And I told him, and I can tell. I look at him and he's drilling. And then this other guy comes here and start drilling on him. He just accept it. And I was like, and I told him, why you let them drill on you? And he's like, oh man, I'm trying to help them. I'm like, listen, man, if you want to be the best, we have no time for nobody else but you. Because you're wasting your time right there.
That's bad.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. You want to be a top athlete. You want to be a top dog. You don't have to do anything else but yourself and be yourself, make yourself better. If you're not, like, nobody's going to reach the peak of the career, anything in life. I'm telling this up front, right? You did the same thing. You dedicated yourself for your med school and you became successful. You're a badass because you dedicated yourself. That's why you got married later on and everything you did was late because you were focused on your career.
Yeah. I was super selfish.
Super selfish. I can tell you because there's a type of people. There's a type of people to.
What a narcissist.
You know it is.
No, I know what you're saying.
There's a type of people to be successful. He's successful because he dedicated himself, and I can tell. He cannot. You need to tell me a story. I know his story from him just by the way he told me certain things. Oh, I got married later. I mean, I have kids later in life because you're focused on your career. You want nothing to disturb your career.
I didn't have time. No, yeah, same thing. Yeah.
It makes sense,
Right.
and that's what people don't understand. Oh yeah, you want to be the best? Okay, show me how your routine is, and I'll tell you how great you're gonna be.
So define the best. When you say the best, define that. Give me whatever sentences, words. I don't
So, for me, I tell my students all the time, right? You don't
care. To be the best.
to be the best of yourself. For me, that's what matters the most, right?
Got it.
What you can be the best of your. Look, first, everybody has you have to understand this, right? Sometimes you're going to have peers, right? You have to understand sometimes you're going to have a guy that's super talented and work really hard. So this guy's spent 20 hours of work, 15 hours of work on the mat, like Mike Musumeci. Mike Musumeci is one of the guys that's one of the most talented. He has the mind, and he has the drive, and he has everything in the book, the checklist, and he has talent. So it's going to be hard for you to beat that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the guy has everything in a checklist to become the best of the best. And he has talent. Now, you have everything in a checklist, but you're not as talented as the guy. Guess what? More like this guy's going to beat you, but not necessarily means going to beat you every time. But now comes the strategy in the game. Can outsmart them, right?
Mikey Musumeci is really smart.
So that's why it's a bit harder, right? Yeah. So that's like you facing a guy that's really. So that's why it is what it is. Unless you get him in a bad day that he's sick, it happened, right?
So he's bringing a lot of tools to the table. To be the best, you got to bring a lot.
Think of the best ones that you've had in here.
Yeah.
He's got it all. I can think of one guy. We're about to interview him.
Yeah.
He's got it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and we talked about this. And sorry I always touch you. I'm Italian. I'm Italian.
No, it's okay. I'm a Brazilian, so
I
it's
don't
all
want
the
you
same.
to feel offended by that.
No, Brazilians always do.
I bring
this,
a kid,
this.
okay? Okay? Okay.
It's okay.
So you think about this, and Griff, this last year we've been on with Griff and doing the documentary of the Wood Gym in Petrone is amazing. And we always have these. I missed you the last couple of weeks and not having them. I'm kind of selfish of having Griff to talk. He's been traveling, interviewing some former clients everywhere. He's beautiful. But we all bring it back to the best of the best. They keep it really simple with everything. Their lifestyle, their diets, their trainings. And the best ones I see don't move around a lot. They're not looking for something. They stick to the basics. And the ones that, in my business, the ones that move around and I'm going to go here and do this. I'm going to go here and train there. I'm going to go here and train. Because I've got to keep searching for different things instead of staying with.
Yeah, because it doesn't give it time to actually get to the results because you're moving so much. So the guys finally understand how you work and everything, get to know you, and now you're going to start to have progress. You already changed to a whole different person. Going to start. So you reset yourself every single time. You're not going to go nowhere.
Like if Sam's my coach, I don't see you going anywhere else.
No.
I mean, Sam's your coach. It's like, okay,
that's simple.
Let's keep it simple.
I mean,
Yeah.
So let's go back to the wrestling coach with the 4 kids, because I'm finding that in other sports just recently where kids aren't going out for teams and the teams have to fold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You seeing that now?
I'm seeing that now in the private schools and the most expensive private schools in Knoxville are folding teams.
Really?
Because there's no interest. And Sam, I think the work ethic is gone with a lot of nobody likes to practice anymore. And I hear a lot of that even in here. It's the game days, but we loved practice. I mean, practice was fun. So what's happening to that culture? And can it be changed, or is it getting softer?
Oh man, I mean, you can tell by the way you can look around and see how everything's turned out to be, right? I mean, you look at the ads of Army. Look at the ads of different countries. I mean, I remember when I was a young adult, right? And I still have, because I love America. I mean, America gave everything I always wished for, right? So this is the best country by far, But that's why I'm not doing this anymore, because I'm super passionate about something and I get myself really into it. So I'm trying to hold back. People cannot handle it anymore. People cannot handle the truth. You cannot tell them, hey man, guess what? With this work ethic, you're not going to go nowhere.
You're right. So what's happening to that? Because that's the beautiful thing. I had 2 conversations before I got here is when you speak the truth and bring it on to me also, why can't we be critical and criticized?
You can't anymore. You can't criticize anybody.
And criticizing the Bible is different than what we think it is. We think it's putting everybody down and doing this and doing this. Instead, it's like, hey, Sam,
be honest.
You're putting on some weight. You're not going to be able to move around the mat. Let's tighten it up again.
Exactly.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for loving me that much, for telling me.
Nobody
They don't look
wants
at it that
Nobody wants that. A guy here, I'm going to give you an example. The guy, I told him, where have you been? And it's like, oh, man, I've been doing this. So you're doing your own thing, right? You're doing your own thing because you think you know a lot and you think you...
Oh, I never heard that before. Hello, garage workouts. We get it. You got it all together.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're not going to go nowhere. Because first of all, you're going to be cheating in your training because there's not to be a guy there to push you.
Watch you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the same thing, I always go to Draculino, and I tell people all the time, until this day, I train, do my thing now because, I'm far. Draculino's in Texas, I'm here. But until that day, I was doing the Masters Worlds, right? The first thing I look at, where's Draculino at? He's still my coach because I know that give me confidence, right? Give you that sense of, okay, I had this guy my back here, he has my back.
Well, you value the coach. They said that about Manny Pacquiao's guy, Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
When he was playing basketball, he would look up to make sure Freddie Roach was in the stands watching him.
Oh.
as a trainer coach? Like what makes you that person that is like, I need that coach, instead of going, I got it all figured out, I'll go do it in my garage or whatever. Yeah.
The things like this, you have to have two things, right? Have the confidence in yourself. You have to be humble enough to understand that you don't know everything.
Perfect.
There's two things.
That's right
wonderful.
there. Yeah.
Because a lot of the times what happened is the guy, it happened to me. These guys came to me and started inflate my ego when I was like, I became world champion. My first year on the black belt, I became world champion. Man, you're the best and this and this. You accomplish even more than your coach. I was like, listen, man, calm down. I'm here because of my coach.
It's that loyalty, man.
Yeah, I'm here because of him. If it was not for him to go and push me every day in the room and teach me, even though I develop a different style, but he laid the ground for me.
So you will say, and Griffin Ben, think about this. You will say that you'll hold to, I will not know everything like my coach does, and that's why I stay with my coach. I do not know more than my coach, no matter how many world champion titles I have. Will you always think like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But how does one think like that? Because I see it. Griff's been around me the last year, very intense. I see it week in, week out, where, I got to figure it out. I could go out on my own and do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've talked about this.
32 years I've had more clowns like that.
Yeah.
But things like what happened is, when I'm told this, people understand. So there's a human fallibility, okay? God already says like to not live in the flesh, because if you live in the flesh, you have a lot of sins, you have a lot of stuff. If you let the Spirit lead you, it makes you humble, right? Everything the flesh is supposed to be, the Spirit is the opposite, right? So live by the Spirit, not by the flesh. So what the Spirit tells you to be humble, yield to God, right? It's everything they're supposed. Now the flesh tells, I know everything. I'm you know what I'm saying? So it's the totally opposite. So when it comes down here, a lot of the times the guy, won a small tournament or won this, or even like succeed on his first draft, he's like, I'm good now. I got it. Yeah. I just need to do this now.
Yeah.
But your coach is the one that's gonna say, hey man, you need to work in this. There's a here's
a problem with your performance.
Yes.
Even though you won,
this is where you have to be proved, right?
Interesting.
So that's the problem. It's a human thing. So you're gonna see people here come in. He does well in one draft or one games. Okay, man, I just need to do this. I got it now. I'm not gonna do this. So that's why you look at the guys that stick with the coach, right? And focus on them, listen to them. That's what I did with Jacqueline the whole time. I mean, I have an offer to go to other teams, right? I have an offer but I never done, because why? First, I'm thankful. And I know that I don't know everything. That's the thing everybody thinks. Oh, man, I know everything. I can do this now on my own. You don't. Because if you don't have if you look at the most successful people, they always have what? No, the most successful people, you read at the end of those books, they have a mentor. The always first thing they do, you have a mentor. Right? Mentorship. Somebody they can talk to. Somebody they can say, hey man, because sometimes you need that. Even though you know everything and think everything, and then the guy, you need to be a reality check, say, hey man, you need to do this. You're not doing this right. And you're like, what? And then now you have to be humble to understand that, okay, I have to listen, right? Because sometimes you're doing this wrong. Oh, this guy just want to criticize me, everything I do.
Yeah.
Because people are getting to a point now, you cannot you're not criticizing, you're being honest with them. Because one thing about the coach is, you should be thankful for the coach that's going to tell you the truth and be honest with you, because he's looking for your best interest. And a lot of people now, they think,
they don't think that.
No, they think, man, this guy just want to put me down. Or this guy, yesterday, I had a conversation with this guy, and he's like,
I like when he goes, that's my new tag, this guy. Do you believe this guy?
No, it was serious.
I like it.
I had a conversation with this guy.
Trademark.
He literally goes and he started doing his own thing. And I was like, so now, you do your own thing, so guess what?
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, he's like, are you going to do your own thing? You want to do your own schedule?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to be a champion.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You're not going to be a champion. I will be there to just like give you support and hang out with my family because I'm going to do it for the trip.
Right. Yeah.
It's plain simple.
Yeah. Yeah. He's speaking it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
honestly,
flowing. Yeah.
let's do this. I was like so blunt, and I have to stop being blunt, because I was losing students. People cannot take it. People cannot take it. I had this guy, he won one big tournament. A month later, he knew everything.
That's what I was talking about, his age, Griff. And that's what my mentors from Radomir to Louis Simmons that were huge influences in my growth is he will go back to being blunt.
Yeah.
He will go, you will be me. When Louis Simmons was 51, when I lived with him in the 1990s and I was in the mid-20s, and he's like, you will have no patience after you go through your full cycle of all the BS and everything and adapting, and you'll get to the point to where it's a real beautiful thing when you reach that pinnacle, and it's more than money can buy, and it's more than zeros in the bank account of having real integrity for what you do, and you're able to fire people.
Yeah. It is. I mean, because I totally agree with you. I mean, that's things like this.
They don't fit. You know what I'm saying? You'll get like, and I know it's going to be hard because he's a Todd Helton mind. He's a Harrison Smith mind. He's a world champion. So you're not going to have 20 world champions walking in on a Wednesday at his place. So like he said, I've got to lower down. I guarantee you lay it on Wang, on Chewy right here, you give it to him because he has the champion mind of what he could do. Oh, yeah. You could give him anything.
He's like, I give it James. He's one of the toughest guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, he is mentally tough because I go with him, right? And he goes with me every day. Mm-hmm. And roll with me every day. I mean, I'm not trying, because he's a nice guy. He's my friend. I'm not going to go trying to hurt the guy, but we train hard, right? We train hard. And he does not quit. And what I love about him, then he look at me and he's like, you son of a bitch, I'm going to catch you this time. He cussed me out, and I love it. A lot of the times people think, like, I don't take like personal. I love it because I know this fight, he has a fighter spirit in him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. So a lot of the times, like, I wish he came to me when he was 20. Of course, he could be a world champion. He could. Listen, you went through a career you already told me many things in your life, right? You went to medical school, everything. A lot of people cannot handle the pressure. You went through a whole medical school. A lot of people think it's easy, but the way he did it is different because he went, not only that, but he also went with integrity, right? And especially in his field, right? And he fought for his field, he fought for his place, he fought for a lot of things that is right, and he's still fighting for it. So that's a fighter spirit. Even if he didn't do jiu-jitsu, he has a fighting spirit in him. And that I cannot teach him because he already came with that.
And don't you think we're losing more and more year after year the fighting spirit?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, you cannot even tell somebody that man, you have to do this more. If you tell them man, you have to train more. I tell people all the time, you have to train more. They get mad. It's like, man, you rude. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
So right now people say, hey, Samuel, you're not as committed as you used to be. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because there's no commitment.
Griff and Wang, you've been here since the 90s. He was me, where you get in those 30s, even 40s, and you're beat down from the people that you're with because they don't have that.
So, was I right about you guys had the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You damn it, Wang, you were right.
You bastard.
Yes, you were
gave
right.
me such a hard time. How many?
Yeah. But we had to go through that hard time to get here, right?
He gave me such a hard time.
Yes.
But you see it now. You see,
yes.
You don't spend the time I do.
You could see it in his eyes.
Oh yeah,
the passion,
conviction.
the soul, the conviction. Yeah. You see it in the eyes,
and it's not. So let's go back around,
okay.
And you tell me, what do I see? My perceptions of Sam when it comes to mental toughness, and my definition of Sam.
Yeah.
What I see, what he's saying, he backs up.
Mm-hmm.
The words that he says is backed up by the actions that he does. So when he says, "Hey, when he's drilling, he's fine," especially
he needs to be around people like this here, so he keeps that, because he will lose some of that from the product of the kids and everybody's coming. He needs more Chewies and Cam Millers. Get this cat in there, so he could put that right in his eyeball back to everybody and the fire, because like he said, I can't be rude to this person. I can't be hard to this person. I can't be hard to this person.
Yeah.
I can't.
He needs to get that group where they're like, he just let it roll. Just let him rip.
It's $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's $1 million.
That's what.
But I know where you've been, and I know exactly where he is, Griff. Exactly.
But when he says that, I've seen that it's almost a greediness in the way that he trains. It's greedy. Like there's like, this is my time to drill. I'm drilling. I'm drilling right now. Like, it's
the Chewies of the world that keep him going. So it is iron sharpens iron.
He comes in there and he's getting ready for especially around that competition time. It's like, I ain't got time for this. I'm getting taking advantage of every single moment. And when he says, "Hey, I work out 7 days a week," he's not just saying that. He's doing it.
Right.
And I've seen it happen over year after year after year after year after year after year. 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, things have changed a little bit now. Not the competition, but he's still there 2-3 days a week. I mean, 2-3 days a day training, and
2 or 3 sessions a day.
2 or 3 sessions a day. Yeah.
Right.
So when there's the integrity of what he is saying and backing it up with the actual work that he's saying that he is preaching, it matches. So it's like, do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
And
I do.
That type of discipline and consistency over a lot of time. And I've only seen a small percentage of that time, maybe 15% of that time. But I know from that 15% that he was sure as hell was doing that.
And some
his entire
people
career.
truly believe, because they get me on this my tail end. Like when I say that and I say I live that, they don't believe it. They say there's no way you did that. I was like, why am I gonna lie? Look at my wall. Look at how many world championships I have.
Because they don't think they're capable of it, and that's why they say there's no way. Yeah. And that's why iron has to sharpen iron. You better be around people that are doing it just as good or better than you in whatever field, so they can keep you going. Go for yours. That's awesome, because not too many people want you to be happy if they're not happy.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah. Real quick, we don't have to wrap it up. I was just wanting Griff and Ben to give their definition of what Sam defines mental toughness. From what you've listened to today, what do you think is mental toughness? What do you think his definition is? Now, I do think...
Well, I have 2 things that I've been thinking about since you said this. Number one, because you guys talked about with the youth and how you've lost this art, I think they don't know how to interpret fear. I think they run from fear, they don't take it on. I think that's a big thing. Because I hear both, and I think the other thing is mental longevity. People can go do something that's hard for a day or a week or a month, but you all 3 have something in common to where you have mental longevity. Going to med school, doing things in silence. For me, my perspective is like, how do you create mental longevity and make it a lifestyle and not towards just one specific
habits
of your life?
Yeah, I agree with that. Habits. So you're saying, I do agree with habits. Don't run from fear.
Yeah, I think the big thing with him is like, one, product of your environment is one huge thing, but also...
Well, he's the first guest we had, Griff, that goes, his father taught him, Sam taught Ella, if you're going to hit back.
Yeah.
That's like 1950 stuff, right? Like that's like, misunderstood. You must be going through something today to hit me. Let's talk about it, whatever it is. As a fighter, he's saying no. Okay, we got it. Ben?
I think what I'm taking away from this last hour or so is, if I went to your gym and I was on the mat or whatever, even if I got my ass kicked or whatever, I would probably enjoy it just because I like new stuff and being exposed to it. But I would never sit there and think, oh, I could go win a competition. I would just think, well, that was interesting and I learned some. And so for someone to, with that first exposure, say, well, I could be the best. I would say, well, I could be okay at this. I may be interested in this. I might sign up. That's almost an insane thought of, I'm going to be the champion. And so...
Of the world.
Yeah, of the world. And so not many people would have that experience and then set such a high goal for themselves. But then B, knowing that you're going to have to train your mind and your body and mastering your body with your mind.
Yeah.
That's what you have this synthesis of,
yeah.
There is a duality, and you know that when your body is failing, your mind can still survive, and you can retreat into that and keep fighting, even though your body's telling you, no, I'm broken, stop, rest, quit training.
That's really, that was a perfect, that was awesome. That was awesome right there.
Mind over matter.
Mind over matter.
Right.
And that's a lot of time. Because I tell people all the time, because now I'm in a different time, like I'm in a different season in my life, right?
Yeah.
What I'm doing now, what I do, what I train, because I love jiu-jitsu. I train 3 times a day, right? Jiu-jitsu. And people still think I'm crazy. And as a matter of fact, some people say that they send people, because I told my friends that, and they send their students to visit my school to see if I was there training.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
No,
yeah,
he's gonna.
That's funny.
No, I swear.
Seriously?
I swear. When I told friends that
God,
I still doing
so
that,
funny.
they're like, "You crazy." No, I'm not crazy. I just love this sport. I came to the sport and I came to United States because I love jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to do all the time, right? Because now, only thing that changed now because I have a family now, and that's, of course, is gonna be my priority. Okay, and priorities change,
But they'll come back. So you and Sam, okay, think about this, and Griff's been along my journey for a long time, is when your kids are older and out, you'll find that inner beast again
for sure.
and go on the
This
mat 5 times a day.
I'm still doing it,
Yeah.
but I just leave earlier.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I
You
mean,
leave
my
early.
wife,
Right.
my wife already knows why I'm with my wife because she knows
Mm-hmm.
what she got into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she knows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my second marriage because of
Mhm.
that. Because my first marriage is like, no, you work so much in this jiu-jitsu. You train so much. I mean, it's all you do is jiu-jitsu. I was like, I embrace this as my lifestyle. So when a time, like, that's what you pinpoint there. And it's like, many times I was like beat up physically. And I was like, I still have to do this. Because when I look at the world championship, I told my friends laugh at me. It's like, I'll be in a big stage one day. I want to be in a big stage. I want to be on TV. I want to be like recognized. I want to be a world champion in black belt level. And they're like, dude, you cannot even hang with us. There's no chance. I was like, okay. I didn't say anything. I just kept doing the work.
That was probably fire in your
It fired work because it fired me up.
Yeah.
You know?
I got it.
It's
It's there. It's there.
two words with Sam: in tune.
Yeah. Yeah.
In tune. You know.
Yes, but again, the only reason I always refer to Griff, because we're doing this documentary and we're going to be 1.5 years, 2 years into it, and he's discovering so much of this place, and it's the same as Sam. And I'll wrap it up on a Friday. I got a good athlete coming in at 9:30 that is awesome, and then a phone call with another guy at noon to come in from Washington State. So I am somebody, Griff. You know what? Damn it. The locals just don't get it, Griff.
But the things like you're talking about that, right? That's what you say something really important that like sometimes people will not appreciate what they have locally. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you are the best here, can be the best in your field, and people still like, okay, I guess. I mean,
I got to go to New York for something better.
You know,
Yeah.
but
You know-
it's crazy, Sam, because it keeps me. Thank you, community, because it keeps me humble. Of all right, let's keep going instead of going because your text messages through the day will just, and then one will beat you up, and one will bring you up. You know, it's funny.
you know, it's like, and honestly, truth is like, why you have people from all different states? You know why? because not people are willing to do their job. They may see you as like, man, this is the guy.
That's true.
And they'd be like, you know what? I don't know if I have what it takes.
Yeah.
Some people doubt themselves all the time. That's coming to confidence level too.
That's true. So they have to fly into the place. You're right, Sam. And Radomir and Louis said that, and I did that, is they gravitate to a place that is like them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. That's kind of cool. You gravitated to Sam because he's like you. That's how it works. Okay. I'm wrapping this up with, he said a great thing of, he sacrificed everything to be a world champion, including a marriage.
Oh, yeah.
So I think his mental toughness, to me, I think sacrifice is a huge, huge word of a mentally tough person in any category of life. It doesn't always have to be fighting, weight training, speed training. It could be the real sacrifice that people don't see.
That's the first time we've used that word.
I know.
Yeah, sacrifice that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, right? I mean, if you want everything in life, there's a price to it.
Yeah.
And we said that on the first one. I remember you saying that on the
sacrifice first one. Is like, I came to the United States because I love jiu-jitsu, and I sacrificed my family, my friends, and everybody. You know?
I mean, don't we have to get, and that's where we talk about settling, is he was willing to, burn the boats to take the island.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was awesome today. Sam, thank you so much for coming in.
It was so quick, man.
It does. I mean, you could rock and roll. I mean, you could do this all. That's where we have these roundtable discussions like this. We sit in here for 2 or 3 hours and then go, oh my gosh.
I enjoyed listening to all of it. It was wonderful. Thank you.
I got more out of Sam, and I think so far I got a lot. It's really starting to come. It's really starting to define what mental toughness is and what it looks like. And I don't think it's going to, I really don't, from 2 weeks ago of all different categories to, I really don't think it's going to be too many categories, because I think Sam sets it. You're looking at Sam as the American dream. He wanted something, came over here, sacrificed everything to do it, and then sacrificed a marriage to be the best on the planet for what he's doing, to find somebody that understands. You can't cage him up. You
how hard it was for him to be an American and then thusly appreciates America.
And now running 2 successful businesses.
Yeah.
And he's growing and glowing, brother.
Yeah,
thanks,
America's
Sam.
the best place to be, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Chewy, thanks. Ben, Griff, appreciate it.
See ya.
See you.